It's a special Super Bowl preview edition of Upset Alert. Chiefs have been favored since the matchup was set. Eagles getting a 1.5. Nick, we'll start with you. Are the Chiefs actually on upset alert? It's a small line for how confident.
The line would dictate that they almost have to be, right? Because if they're only favored by a 1.5, certainly they should be on alert. The flip side is this. They have the most talented player in the history of the league playing in the biggest game of his life. And so I'm going to go ahead and say, no, they are not on upset alert.
Okay.
Because I think what you are, I think the Eagles are players 2 through 53 slightly better than Kansas City. I don't think it's as dramatic as everyone has made it out to be all week. I think the Eagles have a great offensive line. I think the Chiefs have a good one. I think the Chiefs have the better defensive line and secondary. I think the Eagles have the better skill position players on offense by a lot. And so I think that if you take quarterback off the team, the Eagles are a 94 overall and the Chiefs are a 91 overall. But the Chiefs have a 100 overall quarterback who walks onto the field, biggest game of his life.
Yeah.
And a chance to, as the leader of this team, and all Greg they have done all year is talk about team. He knows if I play great, every single one of my teammates gets to say, I was on the greatest football team ever. I was on the greatest dynasty ever. And I think when you ask a legend to walk into a legendary moment with legendary stakes, he's going to come through. So, no, I don't have him on upset alert.
Well, I definitely have him on upset alert. And all the things that you talked about Patrick Mahomes being a 100, he is probably the only 100 on the Chiefs. But Saquon Barkley is a 100 if we want to start to categorize it for position. And so for me, I look at this Philadelphia Eagles team, all those guys that you talk about on offense, what they have yet to show us as far as the explosiveness that we've seen in previous years with Jalen Hurts throwing the ball, some of the questions that are looming around Jalen Hurts. If he is able to overcome those questions like he has this year, and he plays like he did a couple years ago in this game, in this Super Bowl, then yes, absolutely they're on upset alert. I love what Spags does as a defensive coordinator. I love what they have. All those guys that you mentioned defensively, McDuffie, Watson, Karlaftis, they have all those guys. But when you look at the strength of this team, the offensive line, the offensive unit, they are the reason why you have to say, yes, it can get done if you're the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I do think they're on upset alert. I'm not saying I'm picking the Eagles, but as both of you said, outside of quarterback, the Eagles are superior in most places. And you can break up the defense, or you can just take the defenses as they are and say the Eagles have the better defense, at least on paper. You probably think the Chiefs are better. They do step up in big moments, their defense. But on paper, the Eagles have been better. Obviously, they got the skill positions and offensive line and stuff like that. And, yes, clearly Mahomes is the best quarterback. But Hurts did step up huge a couple years ago. He has met the challenges after his receiver, and whether they're still great friends or once great friend, whatever it is with A.J. Brown, after he questioned him publicly, he went out and had one of his best games of the season. Against Washington, people were wondering, can he throw the football? He had to, and he threw for almost 250 yards. So I definitely think it's possible. And beyond possible, like, Philly is a very good team. This, Nick, could be the best team the Chiefs have faced in the Super Bowl, arguably.
I think last year's Niners team was considerably better than this.
Really?
Yeah, Brock Purdy.
Really?
Yeah, I do, because I thought...
Even with the injury to Greenlaw.
Well, that he wasn't injured going into the game. You know what I mean? I'm talking about going into the game. You're right that one injury was as massive of an in-game injury as you can suffer. So I'm not thinking about it like that. But going into that game,
This defense, Philly, is higher ranked. I get it that the Niners had a great defense. Quarterback, if you want, you might go Hurts or you call it a wash, whatever. Running back, as great as McCaffrey is, I'm taking Saquon. Receivers, I think I'd take Philly's receivers.
I think Saquon this year was better than McCaffrey last year, even though McCaffrey last year was, I think, finished same place in MVP as Saquon did this year. from a Chiefs perspective, I guess when I'm looking at that team, I'm looking at one thing about McCaffrey. He is such a threat out of the backfield. The Chiefs struggle with that. Saquon, oddly, is not really much of a pass-catching threat as you would think he would be given his talent. He's obviously good at it, but not to the level McCaffrey is. And the Chiefs, forever, Dallas Goedert alert, struggle covering tight ends. George Kittle, you know what I mean, is better in that regard. And also that Niners team, again, sorry, we're getting a little off track, but they had 3 legitimate weapons at receiver. And listen, I'm not a Jahan Dotson guy. I think the Eagles have 2 legitimate weapons at receiver. Can I ask a different question about this, or do you want to ask something? Go ahead.
I was going to ask, let me ask Greg.
Yeah.
We got, in the office, our researcher, Josh, gave us a big packet of Super Bowl stats. And it was very nuanced to the point where I would read something and I said, ooh, that looks good. It was about Mahomes' quick passes and how good the Eagles are actually against it. And I would read these stats and say, oh, that's great. And I'm like, Josh, I don't think I'll be able to even verbalize that on air in a clean way. But it basically, I read this whole thing and my brain is like very into the nuances of the game. Then I kind of got overloaded and I thought, Patrick Mahomes. It's just legendary players do legendary stuff. When you were in the Super Bowl, how much of it was little nuances of the game? We have this edge, we have this, or just, man, we got Aaron Rodgers out here.
Yeah. So a lot of that latter end. At the end of the day, you have to believe if you're playing in this game, I'm better than you. Period. And that's across the board. I know we're talking about Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, myself, A.J. Browns, Saquon Barkley's, but to a man, you have to believe that. And when you look at these 2 teams, they have players throughout offensively, defensively, both units, where they feel like we have an advantage. They have guys that believe that they're better. For me, I was going up against one of the better corners in all of football, in Ike Taylor.
Yeah.
I knew the challenge. But you better believe I felt like he's not going to see me today. Like he's going to have a problem today.
Fired up.
Like it was one of those. It was like challenge accepted. I'm not in the biggest game of my career going to shy away from who you are, and definitely not going to peel back the curtain or pull over the curtain and say I'm not going to show up and be who I've always been and been all the. No, the brightest players, the biggest players will step up. One other thing I will say why I believe it's an upset alert. This Eagles defense, and I know the Chiefs don't turn the ball over a lot.
Well,
Specifically Patrick Mahomes.
They forced 10 turnovers.
10 turnovers in the postseason.
Yeah.
In every single playoff game, they have made it a point to create turnovers to give their offense opportunities, extra opportunities.
Good.
So here's, Dust, can we throw up the Mahomes down a score in the playoffs in the fourth quarter? This, to me, is the most problematic graphic for Eagles fans. So if he's down 1 score in the playoffs in his career,
That's
again,
just a nutty stat.
So I'll tell you why I think it's such a problem. So 14 playoff drives in his career, down 1 score in the fourth quarter. They have tied or taken the lead 13 of those 14 drives. That graphic to me says Philadelphia has to blow out Kansas City to win. And I don't think this team is blowoutable. Even the one time this year they lost, and it was by 9, that game was a 2-point game with a 4th down. Josh Allen got it, and that's the closest. That's one of only 2 more than 1 score losses they've had in 3 years. I just don't think you can walk into this game if you're Philadelphia and believe we can. Maybe they believe it, but realistically believe we're going to do what Tampa did. Tampa, in the Super Bowl, blew them out. It was 31-9 entering the fourth quarter. It did not matter if Patrick Mahomes had fourth quarter magic. I think this Chiefs team is too solid everywhere to get blown out. And if it's close late, how do you not think he is going to do what he's done to everyone else? That's my big rub if I'm a Philly believer.
Okay, well, we're going to take that and immediately turn into a special Super Bowl edition of Nick's Picks.
Wow.
It's exciting.
So here's the deal. Everybody knows I'm picking the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so that'll be 33. 22-1, 21-1. What a year. 9-3-1 in the postseason. But that's no fun. So instead, Greg, we're doing 5 prop bets. Prop bet number 1, Mahomes to have over 252.5 passing yards. This is very simple. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to run the ball. I think that the move of Joe Tooney from left guard to left tackle makes the run game much weaker. I think they're going to say, Patrick, the ball's going to be in your hands 40 to 45 times via scrambles and passes. I think he's going to have a 300-yard passing game. That's over 252.5. Another Patrick Mahomes prop. Over 5.5 rush attempts. Remember, America, kneel downs count as rush attempts. They can hurt your rushing yards. 4 scrambles, 3 kneel downs at the end of the game before you hoist the trophy. That's 7 rush attempts.
An easy one.
Yes.
I like that one.
Oh, here's another one. And I'm sure they'll blame a slippery turf afterwards. Under 2.5 sacks for the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line. Patrick's going to get rid of the ball quick. Patrick's going to take off and run. I do not think the Eagles are going to be able to get Mahomes on the ground 3 times. I'll take under there. And then 2 little fun ones. Samaje Perine, 3rd down running back, 1 catch, over 7.5 receiving yards. There it is, right there. There it is. You just won your bet. Congrats, America. Just 1 play is all you need. And then 1 long shot, 1 Kevin Wilds. I will admit, this is what we would call a square wager. The Chiefs scored exactly 34 points.
Wow.
15-1. Put $10 on it, win 150.
I don't like that.
You put 5,000 on it, you win 75,000. Think about it, America.
I don't like
I'm just 34. I had Wilds.
Don't like that one at all. You had a dream? Please, we got to go to break. We're talking about his dreams.
34-24.
Oh, no.
34-24.
The rest, it was
I had a dream,
analysis, and then it turned into
34-24. And if you want to bet 34-24 exact score, 130-1.
I'm not betting that. Betting 22-1.
I'm just telling you. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.